No matter what I do, I can't escape all the buzz that's been going around about Trump's proposed tariff plans. Love him or hate him, his tariffs will most likely affect all of us and our finances. But what are tariffs and how do they work? More importantly, are they truly a win for Americans or just another tax? Stick around because today we're breaking it all down. So you're looking for a vacuum cleaner because your dog chewed a quart of your old one. You make him sleep outside, get in your car and drive to your nearest Walmart. You found the exact same vacuum you have back home, but this time it costs more. Why is that? Well, the vacuum you're looking at just so happens to be made in China. And since Walmart had to spend an extra 10% just to import that vacuum, that cost gets passed on to you. So you look around for other American-made alternatives, but they all cost more than the Chinese option. So you have no choice but to spend more money to buy the exact same product.
Give me my money back.
In this example, since there were no American-made alternatives, the tariff causes the price of the vacuum to inflate. Judging by this one example, it is easy to make the argument that tariffs just cause higher prices. But it's not that simple. During Trump's first term, he introduced a lot of tariffs, and when Biden took office, he kept a lot of them and even introduced some of his own. So why do politicians add tariffs on imports? Well, the truth is that tariffs aren't all black and white like they seem. Let's start with the basics. A tariff is essentially a tax on a good that's coming from a foreign country, such as China, India, Australia, Canada, Mexico. You get it. Think of it as a way for governments to make domestic-made products more competitive with cheaper goods coming from foreign countries. For example, if Toyota imports pickup trucks into America, a tariff is going to increase the price to bring that vehicle here to the USA, making Ford and Chevy trucks look more affordable in comparison. The philosophy of a tariff is quite simple: make foreign goods less competitive to domestic ones. For us to understand tariffs, we need to first talk about why we import so much stuff from other countries. According to the Federal Reserve, over 15% of all consumer goods bought in 2023 were imported. And in that year alone, we imported over $3.5 trillion worth of goods. Labor in the USA, it's quite expensive, and companies producing things domestically have to abide by stricter rules when it comes to environmental laws, labor laws, and so on. While people might post and talk about how environmentally and socially conscious they are, the truth is that a vast majority of Americans are quite price sensitive when it comes to their spending. To meet customers' price demands, companies often choose to make their goods abroad. Just take a look at clothing, for example. The reality is that a large portion of US consumers would rather spend their hard-earned money on fast fashion places like Zara, Shein, H&M, and so on. And who can really blame them, right? In a free market, consumers will almost always opt for the option that feels like a better deal. How much a company had to spend on labor and benefits and taking care of their employees seems to not really move the needle when it comes to consumer spending in the USA. And if a company in LA has to spend $16 an hour plus benefits to manufacture their clothes in America, while a factory in Vietnam can pay $4 an hour while working their staff 12 hours a day, the LA company will never be able to compete in price. And just because companies can manufacture goods for cheaper in other countries, that doesn't mean necessarily the quality is any worse. If you ever bought any clothes from Vietnam, you would know that the quality is just as good, if not better, than American-made goods. And that's the whole goal of a tariff, to level the playing field for American companies while incentivizing businesses to bring manufacturing back to the USA. Sounds fair enough, right? But who really pays the price of these tariffs? Let's go find out. When we ask ourselves who really pays the price of the tariffs, there's only one answer, and that's importers, or the US businesses that are looking to bring those imports from a foreign country. These businesses aren't just going to eat the extra costs. They're going to pass those costs on to you. That means higher prices for you and I. So it's fair to say that tariffs can drive up inflation. Just like in our vacuum cleaner example from earlier, a report from the Peterson Institute warns that US GDP could fall by 1% by the end of 2026, and inflation could rise by 2 percentage points by next year due to these tariffs proposed by Trump. Now, a truth that we have to accept is not everything can be made in America. As we discussed earlier, some goods are just way cheaper to be made abroad, so it's very unlikely that the manufacturing of those goods will ever return to America on a full scale. And it would be foolish to think that these tariffs imposed by Trump would just incentivize companies to pack up and bring everything back to the US. All right, so to wrap definitions up, a tariff is a tax on imports meant to boost American manufacturing. Supporters say they will create jobs and bring manufacturing back to the country, while critics argue that they increase prices for consumers and drive up inflation. So we can better understand what to expect from these newly proposed tariffs. Let's go over all the 5 tariffs that have already been confirmed to go into effect. So far, there have been 5 tariffs confirmed to go into effect within the next couple of weeks. The first one is a 25% tariff on all imports coming out of Canada and Mexico. These two countries make up over $2 trillion worth of trade with the USA. With this many goods coming out of these two countries, it is very possible that if these tariffs stay in place, we could see higher prices for everyday goods. These tariffs were introduced to address Trump's concerns over legal immigration and drug trafficking. As of today, it does look like both of these countries have introduced measures to deal with such issues. So it is possible that once both of these issues have seen some significant improvements, that Trump may renegotiate these tariffs with both countries. But at the moment, it is still way too early for us to tell when could we see that happening. The second one is a 20% tariff on all Chinese imports. This tariff is very interesting since China exports a variety of goods such as clothing, electronics, and machinery. Now, while Trump did mention fentanyl and drug trafficking in the reasoning behind his tariffs, it does look like the goal of these tariffs is to bring manufacturing back to the USA. However, factories don't just pop up out of nowhere, so it is very likely that we could see higher prices in the short term. Now, I do see some people out there talking about how China could retaliate in light of these tariffs, but considering that the Chinese economy has been facing some difficulties such as an aging population, weak domestic consumer demand, and deflation, it is possible that they won't retaliate in a significant manner. Trump has also added a 35% tariff on global steel and aluminum. Now, this will help US steel and aluminum producers, but any business that uses aluminum and steel in their manufacturing process will definitely feel that 35% tariff. Some examples of businesses that do rely on steel and aluminum are construction companies, home builders, car manufacturers, and even soda companies, since the soda can is made out of aluminum. And lastly, Trump has added a 25% tariff on imported cars and car parts. Now, if you know me, you know I love cars, so definitely not stoked about this tariff. At the end of the day, guys, the question to ask is, do the benefits of these tariffs outweigh their costs? That's something that every American is going to feel in their wallet, and only time will tell. What's going on, you guys? Today's April 4th. I was just about to finish editing my latest video on the Trump tariffs, but as you guys probably know, Trump has dropped more tariffs today. In an effort to make my video be relevant for a little bit longer, I wanted to come on here and update you guys on all of the new tariffs coming on and how those tariffs might affect you and affect prices. First up, Trump has introduced a 10% baseline tariff on all imports, so doesn't matter which country, doesn't matter what good. Trump is also adding reciprocal tariffs on nations that already tariff US goods coming into their nation. Some examples are going to be China, Vietnam, Cambodia. The other tariffs Trump talked about, we already covered in this video. Those are going to be the tariffs on steel and aluminum. Trump is moving a lot and he's moving very fast in his first couple months in office. So we'll definitely be bringing some recent news to you guys in future videos. But as of today, this is all you have to know about the new Trump tariffs. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing. I want to keep bringing up good videos for you guys with good information about finance and what's going on in the economy. And subscribing and liking this video really does a lot more than you would think. So thank you so much if you have already done so. If you want to know what are the top 5 wealth killers for Americans, click right here and it'll take you to my latest video.